Good morning, good afternoon, depending on what part of the country you're in today. We are so very happy that you're joining us for our Ajera user group. I started just a little bit early, hoping that everyone could kind of have a moment to get in and get settled in. We'll start in on the agenda right at our designated start time. If you are getting settled in, you might want to go ahead and grab the handout. There's not a lot of information in the handout because if you've joined us in these user groups, you know they're pretty casual and conversational. The recording of the user groups is always posted on our website as well, if you ever want to look at any of the past ones or look at today's after today. All right, it is 11:30 in the part of the country I'm in, 1:30 Eastern, so let's go ahead and get ourselves started. We're just going to start off with a little bit of housekeeping here. As we go through today's user group, please submit your questions and ideas in the question box. We won't be monitoring the chat box. This is a user group. This is all about you all. So it's so fun when it's lively conversation, but this is an exciting topic today, new technology for all of us, guessing that some of you have been playing with it. So please, give us your ideas, your experiences, and let's get conversation going, but please do it in the questions box. We will answer as many questions as we can during today's meeting. If by chance we don't get to your question during the meeting, we will follow up with an email. At the conclusion of today's user group, you will receive a survey. We would ask that you would just please take a moment to fill that out. Your feedback is invaluable. We're trying to determine our schedule for the next few months, so your ideas of what we should have as content are very valuable to us as well. As I mentioned, there's a handout, not much in it. If you're interested in receiving a CPE credit today, I'm going to need you to please answer all 3 polling questions and complete the survey, because one of the check boxes on the survey is a request for that CPE credit. And I'll remind you of that here in a few minutes when we launch our polling questions. I'm guessing most of you on the line may know a little bit about Stamp-on-S. If you're brand new to Stamp-on-S, we've just put a little bit of information here. Our firm is really so diverse and has so many specialty professional services, it would be hard to get everything we do on one slide. I think the key points are that for over 60 years, Stamp-on-S has been focused specifically on the A&E space and industry. All of our top level professionals are constantly paying attention to the changes that would impact our clients and friends in the A&E space, keeping up with the trends. And that really is a great way for us to be able to best serve the A&E space here. We are also a Deltek Top 60 value-added reseller. You're all Deltek customers, so we like you to know that we're a Deltek partner. And we've listed a few items of interest here, but I would just welcome you to go check out our website if you would like to find out more. And just briefly, because we know you're eager to get into Ajera, but we want you to get to know us a little bit. My name is Val Higgins. I'm the Managing Director of Ajera Consulting and Project Management Services here at Stamp-on-S. And I've had the opportunity to work in the A&E space really most of my life. I grew up in a civil engineering land survey firm, stayed in the industry, got my accounting degree, really became passionate about all things project management when I started using the Ajera software in 2007. I had the opportunity to work for Axiom, those of you who remember the company that created Ajera, and then for Deltek for 5 years after they purchased the software, before I landed here at what I call my forever home at Stamp-on-S. So every day I get to do what I love. I love working with clients and helping them get the most out of their Ajera software, and just helping with workflow issues and project management training. And I work with like-minded friends who also are as geeky as me, that we just love this software. So I'm going to let Julie introduce herself to you all.
Good afternoon, and I'm totally a geek. I admit it fully. I also have been in the architecture and engineering space for the majority of my adult life, and I have used several products. Ajera just being one of my favorite. I've done 3 separate implementations, and as much time as I've spent, I'm still enjoying learning new things, which today we're going to talk about new things in Ajera.
Thank you, Julie. And what we can share with you too is that we've been learning a lot of new things, right?
We have indeed.
As we've been playing with these new tools. So our agenda for today is pretty simple. We've heard your comments and you've asked us to keep the agendas pretty streamlined so that we have enough time to answer all your questions. And we're doing that. So we are going to start off talking about a few 9.70 hiccups. And throughout today, we might mention some of those too. And then Julie's going to walk you through installing the new Manage Projects widget. And she's going to make some modifications to that widget that we think make things a little bit more user-friendly, especially if we want to really engage our PMs. And then if we have time, we'll show you how you can link also the new Manage Project widgets to be a drill down widget to your standard projects, widgets, and dashboards. QA time, we really prefer if you just ask your questions as we go. That's how we get the conversation going. You learn the most, we learn the most. So please, as I mentioned, just throw those questions in the questions box as we go along today. So I'm going to start off by getting us through our polling questions. We have to launch 3 polling questions in order for our certifying agency to issue those continuing education certificates. So we just want to get that out of the way real quick here so we can jump into Ajera and stay there. So I'm going to go ahead and launch our first polling question, which is, have you installed the new Manage Projects task widget? And just super quick reminder, if you're going to request the CPE credit, we do need you to answer all 3 of these polling questions and complete the survey that you will receive at the end of today's meeting. All right, you guys are coming in quickly here. Looks like we're slowing down a little bit, just shy of 90%. I'm just going to give it a few more seconds because I do want to give everyone a chance to cast your poll vote. And looks like we've significantly slowed down here at 92% of you casting that vote. I'm going to go ahead and close the vote down and share the results. So Julie, 16%, it's only 16% of our friends have installed. So today is going to be wonderful as you get to watch Julie go through the whole process. 73% of you haven't, 11% don't know. So for the 84% of you, this is going to be really awesome. For the 16% of you that have installed it, I'm super hopeful that we're going to be able to give you some really nice tips also and things that we've been playing with. I'm going to go ahead and launch our second polling question, which is, do you know how to create links between dashboards? All right, you guys are coming in quickly. I appreciate that. I'm going to give this a few more seconds to just let everybody get their poll vote in. I can see that Chris is saying he hasn't installed 9.7 at all yet. And if you're on premise, I'm really glad you said that, Chris, because if you're on premise, you do have to manually do an update. It's not like the cloud. All right, it looks like we've stopped here at 95% of you casting your poll vote. So thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and share those results. 16% of you do and 84% of you don't. That 16% is a recurring theme today. And that's really great because that means we're all going to learn some new things. I'm really happy about that. And I'm going to go ahead and launch our third and final polling question, which is, do you require your PMs to update reported percent complete and dates at the phase level? And final reminder, if you need the CPE credit, I need all three of these answered plus our survey. You guys are coming in hot. Thank you so much for that. We'll just give it a few more seconds here. All right. Looks like we're slowing down with 92% of you casting your vote. Thank you so much for doing that. I'm going to go ahead and close down our poll now and share the results. 32% of you do, which is really awesome to hear because it provides such valuable insight into project performance. We will look at a dashboard today, and Sarah, I see that you require your PMs to do it, but they don't. Hopefully the dashboard we're going to show you gives you an idea of how we can make it easier for them to know which projects they need to update. So for the 68% of you that don't or don't know, we are going to talk about that reported percent complete today because that was one of the really great features that was added into this new version of the software, where it makes it so much easier for your project managers to update their reported percent completes and their dates if we're requiring them to do that. So there are a couple of hiccups that we have found with the 9.70 update of the managed projects widget. And Julie, I think it's probably best if we just kind of touch on those as we do the installs and changes. Do you agree?
Sure, that sounds great.
All right, then with that, we'll go ahead and Julie is going to take us through installing the widget. So you can.
All right, can you see me?
We got you, thank you.
Great, all right. So we're gonna go into design mode. And I created a tab for myself already. If you don't know how to do that, you would just add a tab, name it. You could group it if you're grouping. You can assign your roles so that you can see it. And then we're going to add a widget. So I'm going to go up to my add widget. And in this case, it's a task widget. And in the drop down, we're going to go for the manage projects. And there we are. In this case, this is a parent and child relationship that we've got going on here, meaning that this will drive the information in the project list, will drive the information that shows up in the manage projects dashboard. And right off the bat for myself, because I know that I'm going to hover rather than click into a link, I'm going to choose to make some modifications to this. I'm going to go into my caret and edit. And I'm going to remove the link to the drill down for the projects because I don't want to use it here. And I'm just going to say none and refresh. And now that link has gone away. There's some other things that I recognize when I look at my information, and that is that it's pulling in projects that I probably don't need to see, which are anything that's not closed, or this is showing you projects that are not closed, rather than the ones that I really want to see, which are my active or my work hold projects. So I'm going to opt to change my status filter which has a status of not equals closed, and I'm going to flip the script to say is one of, and change it to active work hold, and refresh. What I see though, that I have some overhead and marketing projects that I don't want. So I'm going to add a column for billing type. And say okay. And I'm going to change my filter to is not one of, and I'm going to get rid of my marketing and my overhead. All right, we're narrowing down the field of what we'd want to see in this list. I think the next thing I would choose to do is offer our PMs some insight into where they should look first. What information do we want them to complete most? And I'm going to opt to put a conditional format on my dates. And I'm going to choose, and you can choose your formatting however makes sense to you, but I'm going to choose to change my text color to red. And my background, I don't need a change. And I'm changing my date to less or equal to today minus 2 weeks. So what that hopefully does is lets them see, oh, this project needs an update. As we recommend that the PMs change this information on a biweekly basis to keep it as fresh as possible. And then also, currently this widget is a list of everybody's projects. It has a PM key already installed, but it doesn't have any filter on it. So if you want this to only show a project manager's, his specific, we would want to add the operators filter to say current user, and then the only people that can see it, the only thing they see are their projects, is how I would say that. Because we're logged in as Pat D. Hill, she does have a few projects, but the list has narrowed so that they can drill in specifically on what their projects are. And I think I'm done with this part. I'm going to save this. And then what you can see is that if you hover over any of these projects, it filters in the information for the child. So any of these projects, rather than having to go all the way to the PCC. And I'm going to choose to make some modifications to my child widget as well. Do we have any questions, Val, so far?
We do, and it's one that's here for the child widget.
Okay.
Joey is wondering if there's a way to exclude phase statuses from this child widget. So he wants to see if we can get rid of our marketing or other, so kind of the same thing we did on the project list, excluding, you know, the billing types of marketing or overhead.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have a phase status column we can add here?
To the child.
Yeah.
We sure do.
All right. So before we say yes, Joey, we're going to see this through all the way and make sure that it.
So what we want to know is,
Okay, so we can't. There's no filter
there's
option.
no filter.
So currently we cannot. Great question.
Yes.
Okay, and then let's see. So Greg is asking, is there a way for it to default to the current user in the initial filter, but then allow PMs to remove it if they want? So you
I
could have it,
I
Greg.
would choose to copy it and have one for just my project, my
Yeah.
managed projects that could be specific to your PM, and then one that could be others.
Right, so you could give your PMs a version that shows all of the projects, and then you could give them the one that just shows their projects. Another option would be letting them filter on the project manager name and the parent, which we could show you when Julie's kind of done in this area. So you've got options. So I guess the short answer is, yep, you can give them a version that just shows them their projects. You just got to figure out which way you think is the most efficient, and we can show you a couple.
Right.
And,
All right,
that's,
so we've
you know,
decided phase
yeah,
doesn't, I'm
never
sorry?
mind. I was going to say, that's all. I think you could keep going.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to make just a few modifications to this widget, and I'm going to add a couple of columns. I'm going to add whip to this. And I'm going to put in a formula for contract remaining. I'm going to validate. It doesn't like it. It's going to make me write it, isn't it? All right, it likes that better. Okay. Seem to be moving a little, my data is moving a little slow today. All right, and I'm just gonna move some columns around to show my dollars before my reported percent. I'm gonna go one more. And then let's see what it looks like when we refresh. And I think I'm going to choose to shrink some of these columns so that it's as small as we can get it. It's kind of wide. So I think I'm going to choose to shrink my money to, let's say, 7. Yeah, I am slow. Trying not to break it. I'm going to make my dates 5. Okay, let's refresh. I think I feel a little better about that, and we're going to save all of our changes. All right. I'm going to choose to exit design mode and fill in a few of the blanks that it's asking for. I'm going to choose my Stevenson Estate kitchen. I'm going to take off my resource, show resources, and then I'm going to focus on my project dates. I'm going to say that I'm 65% complete as of today. I need to rearrange my columns, I see. And my estimated start date doesn't need to change, but I'm going to say that I'm expected to be done December. I'm going to go back in and fill this. And what's one of the nice things about the new widget is that it will let you roll up your percentage, and by sum or phase and resource, I'm going to choose some phases, and I'm going to choose roll up dates. Yes, I'm going to do the whole tree, so it should change the project dates as a whole and the percentage of complete as a whole. And then if I refresh, yes, I need to say when I refresh, the red notification should go away and let us know that we've made the appropriate changes. Val, any questions about this part?
Well, we had a couple questions about like how does the current user filter work? And then the parent-child relationship, that would be a good one to talk about, Julie. Like, why do we call the project list the parent and why do we call the managed projects the child? I think I answered it in writing, but I think it'd be good to go through.
Well, it's a parent and child relationship because why would we do it that way? Is that what the question is?
No, I think so. So we call the project list the parent because in the managed projects, we have a way of saying retrieve information from a key on the parent. So in the other words, like if you think about like utilization dashboards or other things, if we click on the project here in the project list,
Right.
That's how it knows to pull up the information in the managed projects for that project. There's a link between there, but the parent is what's carrying that link. So when you click there, it fills the other. And that's why we call that a parent child. And the child would always be the widget that is being populated from the selection on the parent.
Right.
Yeah. We do have a question from Mary. Julie, she's asking if you could go back and show how to make the manage resources show up when I hover over the project list.
So I took off the link. I took off the linking.
No,
to make it easier to hover. If you left the link on, it makes it.
I don't think that's it. If we go back, if you go back up to the top, go out of this widget. I think what she was asking is how do we turn on and off the resources?
Oh, I see.
I think she's saying, how do you make the manage resources show up when I hover over the project list?
All right, so here at the top left of the child is a show resources checkbox. And if we uncheck that box, it rolls up the resources just to, and so the only thing that you see are your phases. We would want to change our reported percent and estimated dates based on the phases, not the resources. So, but I will say, this is one of those hiccups. We are discovering sometimes this checkbox works and sometimes it doesn't. And I don't have a rhyme or reason for you just yet. But in our sample data, it's working like a charm. So, any other questions?
We're getting a couple questions. I think these are related to, cloud versus on-premise. So for those of you that are saying, why don't I have that task in my dropdown? Julie, do you just want to maybe slowly go to like add a widget again? And I don't think we have to go to a new tab because we won't actually do it. Just click on that. So at the bottom, if you don't see this tasks option, like if you don't see manage projects in the tasks option, you may be hosting Ajera on your own server. And these updates, the 9.70 update, doesn't automatically happen. If you're hosting Ajera on your own server, you have to manually update it. So we host Ajera on our own server, so we just have to watch the release notes. And when we see a new release come out, we go and we make the update. If you're cloud hosted, these are happening, real time for you. The only other thing I could think of is if you were on Ajera Core and not Ajera Complete, but based on the comparison list I have of those two products, I don't think that would be the case. So I would check if you're cloud hosted or on premise. And then Sheila asked us, how come the manage projects widget doesn't have actual start and completion dates? It actually does, Sheila. Those are options. If you want to show Julie how we could add those in, those are options. In our experience, the estimated start and complete dates are what really give us the most value. Because when we're talking about projections, projecting labor hours, projecting dollars, that's usually, going into the future, which would be writing off of our estimated dates. But you can definitely add your actual dates. Most firms that we work with do not populate actual start dates. We do, however, recommend when you're ready to close a project, populating the actual close date up at the project level. But you could add them in here if you wanted to, Sheila. Anything to add on that, Julie?
I suppose I would say we are finding some additions in columns can result in the widget breaking. And I've not discovered yet what rhyme or reason. But so I would make some changes, save it when we know it works before I add too many other things just yet while they're still rolling this new technology out.
Yeah, and another thing for you all to know, as you're playing in this and testing in it, because we've been doing this a bunch, your widget preview might look just fine, but when you save, your data might be gone. So what Julie is saying is honestly the very best advice we could give as you're building these out. Like out of the box, they're fine, but if you want to start making them fancier, The project list is a very stable widget. That's based on the original widget technology. The manage project widget is new technology, and that's where we're just finding a few hiccups, and we're reporting all of this back to Delpec, and I know they're working on all of it, but I certainly have learned the hard way this week. Like if I wanted to make a significant change to the progress where Julie's at right now, I would copy this whole dashboard and play in a copy so I don't lose the work I've had so far. Julie, Travis is saying when he clicks on the project, it's taking him down to the project tab. Would you mind showing one more time?
One more time.
Yeah, just to remove that link.
Absolutely. So Travis, here at the project ID and description column, we want to go over to the links tab, and what you will see is this project's first tab. That's what comes out of the box. And what you're going to want to do, because I'm going to just refresh to show you, that's probably what it looks like for you. It's blue at the moment. We want to remove that link so that in this parent-child relationship, we're not accidentally following into the link. We don't really want the link. So we're going to remove it by just choosing none at the link tab. And we're going to refresh, and the blue is now gone. The link is now unestablished, and we're just going to save.
There we go.
Well, that's it from what I was intending to show. Do you want
You're
to?
not off the hook just that easy.
All right.
We have several requests. Kevin and Jeff are asking, could you please show them how to format that date?
What, you want to see the red lines again?
Yeah, they want to see how you got that.
All right. All right, so on the reported percent completion date column, we go down to conditional formatting. This first box is your text color, and the second box is your background. So I chose to make it red, but you can choose any of these colors. I prefer, in this instance, the text being red rather than the column being red, but you could do either or both even. And then I'm choosing the column that I'm wanting to format. And then I decided that anything that's 2 weeks old, that hasn't been updated in the last 2 weeks. So I chose my operator to be less than or equal to today. My value is today minus 2 weeks. So I chose week here, and then I said 2 weeks ago. Did that help, Val? I'm gonna say.
Yes, that's good. Thank you, Julie.
What else have we got?
So June, you're asking a great question. June is asking, on the Manage Project widget, if we show resources, is it best to update the RPC on each resource, each phase, or project entirety? And June, we do a lot of PM training, and Julie and I just talked about that this morning because I spotted something in sample data. We recommend that you have your team update their reported percent complete at the phase level. The resource level is just too granular. It really is. This is the first time the roll up for the resources is supposed to be working, but I really have had the great opportunity to work with many firms in training their PMs. And if we can get them on board for updating their dates at the phase level, and they're reported % complete, we have won a huge victory and they will have the best project performance reporting. So my best practice advice would be phase level. I would not ask my team to update at the resource level. The only exception to that would be if you're a firm who is taking a very granular approach at project management and you're actually rolling those tasks out to resources and you're wanting them to update those % themselves. That would be the exception from my perspective. Julie, anything to add?
I completely agree.
Yeah.
If we want them to buy into what we're asking them to do, we'd want them to focus just on the project information, I would think, yes.
Yeah. So Sandra, I'm not sure if I understand your question, Sandra. If I don't get it right, just throw another one in or modify it if it gives you the ability to. In the drop-down menu, what is the name of the project manager title? So do we think, Julie, she's talking about maybe adding fields? Like adding columns? That's what I'm wondering, because that's the only place. So it would just be project manager. If you wanted to add the project manager's name somewhere so that you could filter, oh, maybe that's it, because I suggested you could filter. Can we add the PM onto here? And then we could show everyone how they could filter to just one project manager. Hope I'm getting that right, Sandra. Well, or what I was thinking is let's not put a filter on it and let's take the link off and then let's save. Because this goes to a question we had earlier too, like, do we have to create 2 versions of this? Or, oh, well, it is filtered to just Pat for some reason. PM key, there we go. Let's take that off. And so if you wanted to just have one dashboard where everybody could see all the projects, but then easily get to just their own, Julie can filter to any PM, yep, by clicking right there. And I love that the filter is contained, so she only has to type in part of a name. Like she did the whole name, but she could have just typed in James or just Singer. So this would be another way you could approach this if you wanted to not have a manage projects and a manage my projects. You could just have one and let your team filter. I think that's the question that you were asking, Sandra. Okay, that's not it. So quite a few of you are saying you're not seeing the option for the manage project 9.7 is a name we called this dashboard. What you want to do is create a new tab, and once you've created the new tab, that's when you're going to add a widget. Yeah. And when you add the widget, at the bottom of your widget selection, you have this tasks option, and that's where you'll find the manage projects. All right, thank you for that, Julie. Kevin is asking, do you have to be in design mode to filter using the PM header? No, you don't. And you can train your team on this and use it all over the place. All right. Is there an easy way to find out what Ajera we are using? So Julie's going to show you how you can find out what version you're using here. You just go to About Ajera to see the version. And if you're not seeing 9.7 at this point in time, that tells us that you all have your Ajera installed on your own server. Is it not popping up for us, Julie? Oh, there it goes.
It's down at the bottom.
All right.
Let's try it again. All right, well,
I wonder if it's somehow the way that you're showing your screen. Why don't I go ahead and show my screen?
okay.
And we'll take a look here. So if you want to find out what version of Ajera you're using, you can come to the About Ajera. And it's going to do its little launch thing. So if you don't see 9.70.04, that likely tells me that you have your Ajera installed on your own server, and you just need to get in touch with your IT to, make that update. All right. So Lynette has a great question. Lynette is asking, I have 9.7, but I don't have that. Oh, that's not it. Lynette is asking, if you do update percentage or dates in the widget, does that automatically update the PCC? Yes, it does. This is we have been so excited about this. We've been waiting for it to come. And even though there's a few hiccups, I know that they're going to be working on those. And this is the beautiful thing. Yeah, if we want our PMs to be hands-on, updating their data in Ajera, to date, it's kind of been a pain because they have to, look at a widget, then go to the command center. And now here, I could literally come over and enter my, I'll put a number in the date field. It won't let me do that. You could enter your information right here and then do a percentage roll up and yes, I do. Well, here we go. Let me see. Julie, have we run into this? Oh, I know. No, I did this on a child phase.
Did you refresh?
I'm gonna go ahead and refresh. I ran into this last week once when we were testing, and then what project was I on? Haven Street. Let's try this one more time. Well, here we go. As we mentioned, there are a few hiccups. Now this is working. You can see that it's working in other phases, and I'm not sure why it's not working on this one. I'm almost hesitant to try another project, but I'm not going to be a chicken. Let's try again here. And we do want to be at the child phase level. I think also something I noticed is you kind of have to use the calendar. I'm a person who usually types dates in, but it wasn't liking that. There we go. So I am not sure why Haven Street isn't working. It could be something in our setup, but you can see this does work. So one of the things Julie and I have been talking about is, maybe you all as the Ajera champions, getting in here and really playing with this and testing it and doing the kinds of things we're doing, and watch those release notes, because we may not want to roll this out to the whole team because we're not really rolling this out with clients that we're working with. Some of them are, but we're not really rolling this out with our PM training, because I just feel like it's better to wait until everything is working the way that it should be, because we don't want our teams to kind of lose faith in what we're doing. But yeah, it does update the Project Command Center too, and that's really the beautiful thing about the whole thing. Elizabeth, anything that we're missing? Oh, thank you, Dion. Dion caught the mistake. Our project that I was trying to roll up did not have a contract value in it, which is a problem, because you cannot, the reported percent complete is a financial calculation. So if there is no contract, it cannot calculate. So that was not even glitchy at all. That was 100% user error. Really great that you caught that. Thank you so much. Cheryl Apple is asking, can we disable the show resources button or default it to unchecked? Not at this time, Cheryl, but I would request an enhancement request. I would make an enhancement request, which you can do through the customer support system. I know that Deltek is waiting for everybody's feedback on how they can make this better. So Carrie is saying she has 9.7, but doesn't have that task when I go to add widget. Have you seen that, Julie? Because I have not. So I think that's just a Deltek support case, Carrie, unfortunately. Now there is a difference in widgets. I will show you this because this was something else that we wanted to show you. So I'll just try to do this quickly in the next few minutes. This is one way of rolling this out to your team. And I'm kind of warming up to this, but I didn't love it at first, because my concern was, if you give a PM a list of all of your projects and expect for them to, click on every project and review for updates, I'm not sure that will happen. The way that we've designed our PM dashboards is we build like our value analysis in and colors in. And the idea is all these red dates mean these are projects that our PMs need to update their reported percent complete on. So I kind of hate to detract our PMs from this level of information, but that's why Julie and I were brainstorming yesterday and said, well, we could build some of that in here. So if we could keep this list short, because you don't want this project list becoming really wide, because now this is hard to navigate. So we have to be thinking about all these spatial things, right, when we're working in this. So if you're like me and you like the idea of your project managers still having this really healthy view that shows them how their projects are doing, we can still use the new technology to help them. So if I saw I had an issue on Highland Shopping Center, when I drill in now, my default dashboard is this phases dashboard. So what we're working on internally, and we're not quite there yet, and as I mentioned, we're being cautious, but you could build this. So this can be a link dashboard. We could make this dashboard be the first link in the drill down on that upper project. And now my team can focus on their phases, make any changes they need here. Now, one thing I will tell you that we have found that's a hiccup, I like to make certain items turn a color to draw attention. Color formatting is right now breaking this. So that's why we're again saying, if you want to play with this, copy your widget frequently so you don't lose all of your work. But we have learned that we can't yet put some color onto these. I know it will come, but I will show you how you could make that link here really quickly. So if I go into, this would be a parent, this would kind of be a different kind of parent-child. It's a linked, parent-child. So currently, when I come into my widget design here, and if I click on the hyperlink field, you can see it's linked to the project first tab. So if I make this 9.70 my first tab, then that hyperlink will jump there, or I could just physically drive it there. Usually, I think it makes good sense to have the widget we want people to be looking at just be our first widget. I mean, that's kind of what I think I would do. So I'm just going to add some security here just in case, and then show you how this can work. Oops. Gotta change my link. So I guess I do have to have a hard link. This is the first time I'm trying to link to the 9.70, and I just noticed it did not let me make it my first. So in this case, if I wanted my team to jump, I would just do that. And now when I click here, we can take them right to the widget where they can make their updates. I just want to reassure all of you too, even if you've been working on this software for a very long time, like I have and Julie has, you can see that I'm kind of figuring things out, right, as I go. So when these new features come out, you just really got to get in there and play with them. What I do promise to all of you is that we are going to keep playing with this feature in particular. We're really excited about it. And as we learn more and more about it, we're going to roll that information out to you. So we do have about 3 minutes left before we will be out of time. So maybe we can answer a few more questions really quickly here. Do you see any? If PMs enter in and don't click on roll up, the project RPC will not be accurate, but that is the same functionality as the PCC right now. So that's not anything different than what's already happening. How can this widget work with T and M phases without set budgets? That's a great question, Tammy. We actually recommend that we do put budgets in our T and E phases. We can't get dollar forecasts. We can't look at an accurate backlog if our team isn't at least estimating what they think their spend and bill will be. And when you have conversations with PMs, that's usually something that's pretty straightforward for them. But you can't, we can't get that because it is a financial calculation. If the contract value changed, Jenny is asking, if the contract value changed, wondering the percent complete, how the percent complete will impact the financial reporting. If you increase or decrease the contract value, the reported percent complete is going to be working off of that new value. So what it's doing, just really quickly to go back here into the software, is it's saying, okay, this phase is 100% complete. So what if I take the dollar value of all these percentages of these phases, what does that equal in comparison to my total contract? That's what this percentage is. So if I'm changing my contract values, it's going to change my overall reported percent complete. I may need to redistribute that. We have so many questions. We kind of anticipated this. I'm scrolling through. It looks, excuse me. It looks like we entered many of them, but there are several that are unanswered. So I will ask your patience, but in the next day or two, Julie and I will do our very best to get those answers out to you. and make sure we get your questions answered. If they were duplicates that we already answered, we probably won't, but you can always feel free to reach out via email if you would like to. My contact information is at the back end of this handout. So our best practices tips: when using these new features, test them thoroughly before rolling them out. And you can see like all of the things we're kind of running into and sharing with you and finding even as we're going through this today. Copy your dashboards and widgets that are in progress when you're going to make additional changes. You don't want to lose all your work. That happened to me 5 times this day because I was moving too fast. So just be slow and copy your one iteration before you create another. But do implement these new features. Make the PM hands-on engagement more efficient. We're going to get more buy-in and participation in them watching their project performance. Our next virtual user group meeting will be December 14th. We're going to talk about demystification of some commonly misunderstood or unknown tools in Ajera. We frequently run into tools that people just really kind of don't know what to do with. So we're hoping to shed a little light on those, and it should be a fun and engaging meeting. So we appreciate you so much for spending your time with us today. If you would like to co-present with us in the future, please reach out. We would love to have co-presenters, and you all have figured out brilliant things that we would like to share with others. If you haven't joined our LinkedIn page, please do that. And if you would just take a moment to fill out that survey, let us know your ideas. We appreciate it. We hope that you have a great rest of your week, and thank you so much for spending this time with us. Everyone have a great day and a happy upcoming Thanksgiving.